So sorry about your loss.
Thank you.
We value you more than what we say, but we do.
Thank you. And we feel for the families that have, that have lost people also. There was also someone who died in that fire, civilian, and all the civilians that have been, have died recently in all these horrible fires.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots to discuss tonight, I think.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you're ready, if you want to ask me questions, or if you just want me to give you a quick rundown of, I believe someone wanted to know about have fires in our area increased over the last year or so. So I could give you a little update on that, and then if anyone or if you have questions,
yeah, right. I'll give you a lot more time. I'll probably include you on my report because I have 10 minutes. If not, probably going to get 2 minutes if we go into this the general public. So I'll include you as part of mine. I'll call you in, and then you get all ample time to speak.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. It looks like we're at around 11 people, so I'm doing the check as people come into the room. I'll let you know when we have quorum.
Thank you, Curtis. Next, you and Kathy. Second, just let me know when we'll have quorum. Curtis, you have quorum?
No, not yet. We are at 15 people. We don't have quorum yet.
Kathy and Eli, it's Debbie. I'll be speaking for Congressman Espaillat tonight. Lori is out.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm just checking. Is everybody on mute or is my stuff just not working at all? There. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara.
I unmuted myself.
Thank you.
Do you want me to remute?
No, I didn't know if my tech wasn't working or if everyone was just quiet. So thank you.
It was a wake-up call.
yeah, right?
Quiet. So I keep myself on mute to diminish background noise unless I'm talking.
I mean, 38 people and not a bird to be heard.
Oh, okay. That's intentional on my part.
That's all good. It's all good.
It's 6:37. Are we okay?
Not yet. I'm gonna do. Let me do one more count. I don't think we're there yet.
All right.
We need a few more. We're at 18 right now. Sorry.
You said yes?
We said 18.
Now we're at 19.
Domingos just joined in. Did you count him?
Okay, we can go. We can start now.
Start now.
Yes.
Don't we need 25 for a quorum?
What was
Don't we
that?
need 20? Don't we need 25 for quorum?
We don't have 50 members. We're
How
short
many members do we have?
about 46, 45 or 46.
So we need 23 for quorum, right?
Just about.
23. Okay. New glasses, Eliezer, very aviator.
I lost the old ones. So I had to go to plan B.
You don't have to defend being stylish.
Yeah, Barbara.
In fact, I'm not gonna take all the credit. I think we happened to be at the same glass store, and I think Domingo picked them for me.
Oh, okay.
I gotta give him his pride. It wasn't even mine. I don't even know that he remembers.
He's got good taste in frames. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. Starting with a bang. It's 6:39. As most of you know, my name is Eliezer Eli Bueno, who happens to hold the title of chairperson of the Community Board 12 of Manhattan, and I'm gonna call this meeting to order. So we're gonna go through the motions and the formality of getting a motion on the floor to adopt tonight's agenda. Come on, people, we've been here long enough to know that.
Make a motion.
Motion is set forth by Sarah, and I need a second.
I second.
Second by ladies first, Mary Anderson. Nobles, you take a back seat. Okay,
Good
so
job.
are there any objections? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Tonight's agenda is adopted. Moving along, for March 2022 minutes. I think they were the last ones taken by our wonderful friend who's still with us. I hope he stays with us for as long as he wants to. Curtis Young. So can I also have a motion on the floor to adopt March 2022 minutes? Someone just has to say the motions on the floor to adopt the minutes.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes of March 2022.
Second.
Silence. Motion by Sally, seconds it.
Pedro.
I seconded it.
Isidro Medina seconds it. Any objections? Abstentions?
I abstain.
Minutes adopted. One abstention, Ozzy Kaminer. So motion still passes. Thank you very much. I'd like to start my report by saying and thanks as usual to all of you who's taken your time, your valuable time, family time to be here and participate in the purest form of democracy, which is the community board. Thank you for giving your time and energy to the conglomerate and for the betterment of our community. All of our opinions may differ, but at the end, we're all looking for the same goal, which is to contribute and give our best and the best to our knowledge. Tonight, I'd like to also speak about the public speaking session. I think we have Catherine is handling that, so we may have plenty of speakers based on the resolution of CMN Avenue. So we're gonna get to hear every opinion matters, and they will form our decisions based on whatever the audience and the people who are participating and those who may or may not be able to opinions. So we're gonna be, so the public speaking people just have to put your name on the chat, and Catherine will happily and gladly take your names and give us an so that you get 2 minutes, a little bit more at times, of people that would like to participate and give their opinions. And I'll take the rest of my time to something that I believe has more of importance, and that is Chief Battalion, FDNY Chief Battalion Officer, not officer, but Chief Battalion Chief Joseph. Your last name is cut off, so I'm gonna just say Joseph from now. You can give your last name yourself. Floor is all yours. He has extremely important information to give us, and the floor is open to questions as soon as he finishes. So we have a good 7 more minutes to go through this presentation. Chief, floor is yours. You gotta unmute yourself though.
All right. Yeah, it's Battalion Chief Joseph Dudley. I'm in the 1-3 Battalion, which is located on 181 Street. And we're responsible for approximately 160 Street all the way up to the top of Northern Manhattan, from river to river. I was asked initially to just give some stats about fires, frequency of fires. Have they gone up? Have they gone down? I took a 3-month period. January of last year, February of last year, March of last year, and compared them. January of 21 as compared to this year, we had, and I'll just put a little bit of a pre-qualifier out there if anybody has questions about what I'm speaking about. I only am including serious fires. So I'm not including small kitchen fires, stove fires. You know, we go to a lot of things like that. I'm not including emergencies. If anyone wants further information about things like that, you can ask me at the end, and I could either have them for the next meeting, or if I know off the top of my head, I can give you a little bit of a response. But these are serious fires. All hands or more. That means we're going to have at least 4 engines, 2 trucks, 2 chiefs, and some special units. So it's at least probably, I would say, at least like a bedroom, and possibly could be a whole apartment. So in January of 21, we had 2 all hands fires in our response area. This year we had 6. That's pretty significant increase. February of 21, we had 6 fires, all hands or better. And this year we had 4 for the month of February. And then March, we had 5 in 21, March of 21, and this year we had 6. And our emergencies, just as an overall indicator, are up about 25% year to date. So that's just a small sample of those fires. One other thing before I take questions about the fires, we've had a lot of issues with lithium-ion batteries. So before I even get any questions, I'll speak to that. Electric bikes, scooters. We've had some serious injuries. I'm sure a lot of people have read about them in the news, in the papers, or listened on the radio. These batteries, especially the lower quality ones, when they're charging, they can explode. If they are involved in a fire that is not caused by them, they can also, if the fire impinges on them and heats them to a degree, they can explode and increase, of course, the severity of the fire. And the injuries can be severe because the lithium does not react well with water. We need large amounts of it. So we have special units now that come to these fires. We're instructing people not to charge in their apartments, especially in their bedrooms overnight. You need to be aware that these things can be dangerous, and you should be monitoring them while they're charging. It's been a big issue, and it's something that they're trying to address citywide. We do have a couple of examples of fires that were caused in our response area because of these batteries, and we did have a fatality, unfortunately. That's just a quick summary of what I think people were looking for, but I'm willing to take any questions. And like I said, if I don't have the answer for you now, I can have it next time.
Do we have any hints besides Sally's? Sally, go ahead. Sally, go ahead.
I think I'm on. I wonder where you are on finding out the cause of the fire on Post Avenue. That was the second fire there this year that was fairly significant, displaced a lot of families. Do we know anything about what caused that?
Can you give me a date for that fire, or approximate date?
If I had my brain with me, I thought that it was January, but I probably could be off.
It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay. Thank you, Mariel.
Okay, unfortunately, I didn't quite go back that far. I don't know if that was the one we had the fatality. We did have 2 fires that were caused by the lithium batteries. I don't know if that's one of them. It was a large fire, and like I said, it was a fatality. But I would have to go back and look it up. So I don't know offhand what the outcome of the cause was.
Okay, maybe we can have that in the next public safety meeting. Would be helpful.
Yeah, and if can you give me the date again? It was the said the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Okay, of 21, correct? Okay, I can look into that one, and I should be able to find it. You said it was on post.
Yes. Thanks very much. And I can follow up with an email that might make it easier.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Barbara?
Yeah, in the Public Safety Committee, we have requested that for these major fires, as you said, not the dumpster fires, not the little kitchen fires, but for the major fires, when the review and determination is made, that it be reported to the Public Safety Committee. The woman who's your community affairs or public relations officer has really not been able to get that information up to us. We need a better communication path. Some of it is because the actual report, I think, it takes months to actually generate as to cause of fire. So we would like to see that improve some. The other statement, so if we could work on that together, that would be good. The other thing I wanted to say was this problem with the lithium batteries and the e-bikes is when you say not to charge it in the bedrooms, I think you have to understand also that many of these workers are immigrant workers where you probably have every room in the house is a bedroom and may have 2 or 3 people in the bedroom. So that's, not kind of a non-starter. Is it possible that there could be some push where they can charge these bikes, for example, at a restaurant or commercial place that might be safer rather than in a residential apartment? In other words, something like that, or something at maybe not a gas station, but I think that these e-bikes are here to stay. The lithium batteries are here to stay, and we can't have them in these residential apartments, and they are proliferating. So if you could give some thought to that, like for example, at their place of employment, many of them are restaurant delivery workers, or if there could be some place in the community where they could charge. That's it.
Okay, I can address that at least to some degree. Yeah, we understand that people have to charge these things in their apartments. Their apartments may not be large. They may, they may not have a choice but to charge them in a bedroom. So what we're trying to do is just create a little awareness so that they don't just plug them in and leave them overnight and go to sleep. If they can charge them, keep an eye on them. You should probably notice something going wrong. It's the problem is that they're plugged in, for long periods of time, and that's when they overcharge, and that's when we notice we have most of the problems. And most of the problems come with the lower end, kind of almost copycat batteries. The batteries that are from reputable places seem to are made better. They're not exploding as much. They're not catching fire as much. The problem with charging them at a place of work, and we've had this happen also. Sometimes these delis will, have a delivery person who will use an e-bike. We've actually had these things that happen so quickly that, we've had people trapped inside these commercial spaces. So a commercial space is definitely not someplace we would want to do it. Could the city come up with something, a secure area? I don't know if that's in the works. I can ask about it, but it seems like it would be a difficult proposition to me. You're talking about security and things like that. But I can bring it up at our next meeting and see if there's what their answers are. Right now, we're trying to focus on fire prevention with these things, having them not injure people, having them not, what can we do to let people know that it's not safe to just leave them? So we're more in the educate, because this is new to us too. We're learning about this every day. We're learning how to fight them, how to fight the fire that it causes. We now have a hazmat unit that's going out and actually picking these batteries up and removing them from the area. So we're in the process, like I said, of learning how to deal with this. And one of the things may be that we have to find an area, a safe area to charge some of these away from people, so people don't become trapped, or their places of work don't become involved in a fire.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Very punctual questions. Sandra Sanchez, you're one of ours now. You're not longer a guest or a stranger.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you. For those who may not know me, Sandra Sanchez, FDNY Community Affairs. I want to share with you the report. And the truth of the matter is that sometimes, for many reasons, our fire marshals, the reports do take longer. Right. There are many variables to that. We do thorough investigations. So we do have the report for the incident that occurred at 78 Post Avenue on November 24, 2021. So as per the fire marshals, the cause of that fire was electrical wiring. So should you, I don't think there's a chat function here, but we can connect and I can share once again this fire incident report with you offline. Additionally, just want to share and just piggyback, so much of what we do is education. And I thank both Ebenezer and Eleazar for constantly opening your doors and finding many ways in which we can collaborate to help educate the community. But the truth of the matter is that repetition deepens impression. As the weather is getting better, the many community stakeholders that are here, invite us out. We will come, we will present, we will share real tips that will help keep New Yorkers, the members, the residents of Community Board 12 safe.
I think that covers the previous question from Sally and any other information private to the discussion. So I'm gonna again ask if anyone has any questions. This is the time. Now you have the tag team of Battalion Chief and Sandra, so nothing's gonna go unanswered. Maria.
I thank you so much. I would like to tell everyone that the 33rd Police Council invites the Department of Fire, the Fire Department, to give us a presentation, usually in the month of November, where we are trying to educate the community on how to make sure that there is no fire due to the celebrations that we all have during the months of December, that have Christmas decoration or any other religious decoration that we have. And also they donate, they bring alarms, also they batteries, and keep us informed about how to maintain our apartments and our houses safe from fire. So I think that also that we invite them to some of the senior centers, such as ARC, Riverstone, and so on. So we are, thank you for the Department of the Fire Department to come into our community when we invite them, and they are always ready to help us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. So I think that you guys been so good that we don't have a lot of questions to ask you. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for giving us the privilege of having you here tonight. So stay around. Usually their brains don't light up until a little later. So just hang on for a minute. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna now move on to our manager, office manager, district manager, Ebenezer Smith, short report. Go ahead, Ebenezer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Part of my report was to announce that at the District Service Cabinet meeting, the Fire Department made an announcement that they had a graduation of 271 provisional firefighters, including 13 women. And this was a very good graduation in the last few days. They didn't mention, but they mentioned at the District Service Cabinet meeting, and I promised to announce that. And also, I just want to amplify what Sandra just said, is that any street activity that will happen in the district may invite the fire department to participate, to give a short class on fire prevention. So they said it that they're willing to, but my request as a district manager for any street activity happening in Community Board 12, if you are interested in having the fire department, please let us know. Send me an email or call the office. We more than happy will connect you with Sandra and her team and the fire department, and they can come and tailor a presentation to the public that you have in your activity. During the district executive committee meeting, there was a question about the Riverside Drive project and its completion. It was several dates given, and I had this request to find out when it will finish. Some people were saying that was June this year, 2022, and some people saying that another date. Well, the representative from this project said that the projected completion time for this project is June 2022. However, there were several delays in this project, and they may not finish by June 2022, and there may be a new date of completion. They promised to get back to me with any updated on the completion date for this particular project. And finally, I just want to call to the attention to the Community Board 12 committee chairs. Please check the May calendar. We send it via email to everyone. Please review it and make sure that your committee date is in the right date and your committee agenda items is complete, is correct what you want to say, what you want to discuss. If it's to be determined, please send to me as soon as possible the agenda item, because this calendar has to go out before the end of the week. Thank you very much. This is the end of my report. Is there any question? I don't see any question. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ebenezer. And just remember to next report to bring the minutes from or at least a more comprehensive a report from the district cabinet meeting. I think we discussed that in the past meeting, but thank you anyways. Now we're going to move along to the elected officials report. I'm personally happy to have her for my second meeting. I think she knows that I'm referring to her. State Senator Claire.
Yep.
you get to be first, Manny.
Okay,
this
thank
is your
you.
first meeting, brother, but hey, ladies first. So
State
Senator
Claire. Thank you so
always
much.
first. Go.
Okay.
How are you doing, my great assembly member? Everyone, good evening. It's great to be here. We went through survived my first budget, along with my colleague here. There was a lot in it that was good for us. There's not enough for me, but one thing I'm happy of, that I'm still in the fight to continue to fight for the things that we need. And this year, one of the greatest victories to me is what was not in the budget, and that was 421A. We had to fight to make sure that we kept that out of the budget. 421A is a program that was intended to create more affordability, affordable housing, though that has not been what it has produced over the years. In fact, studies show that in the last 10 years, 97% of the housing that was created by 421A was not affordable to residents in our community boards. So we need to let it expire. We need to let it die. We need to create and give birth to something new that does make sense and does create the level of affordability that we need in our communities. One thing that we were able to put in the budget, and this is a record, first time ever, $350 million was put in the budget for public housing. It is not nearly enough, but it is something. It is something that me and my colleagues on in the other house and on the other side of the aisle, we fought for. I can tell you every weekend that I come home from session, I am in some public housing development or another over the winter about heat and hot water and elevators and other necessary and essential services. Our public housing is falling apart, and we need to focus on pulling it together. I was very excited because I had introduced legislation this year relating to formerly incarcerated individuals who were trying to re-enter into our communities. We know that this is a tough thing for many of our folks to get back into communities, but up until now, formerly incarcerated persons leave prison without even identification. And you know how difficult it is even for you and I to get identification. We go to the DMV, and to get ID, you need ID. To get a birth certificate, you need something to take with you. So it's really counterproductive for us to let people leave our prison system and not give them that ID and no possible chance of really gaining it. So who better than the Department of Corrections to identify people as they leave the system? So in this year's budget, my bill was included that every incarcerated person upon leaving will get their birth certificate and photo ID, state issued ID. It will be sent for them, and they will be given it upon their departure. They need this to get services, to get health care, to get jobs, to get anything. You need ID. So it may seem like it's a small deal, but it's a big deal for somebody who needs that. There was a ton of other things in the budget this year, and we fought for home care, fair pay for home care, which was something that was very important to me. My mother was a home care worker. I know what it was for her to go and take care of other people. Sometimes she had to take me because that was the child care solution of the day. When I wasn't with her. And there's so many women still working in home care. I saw them go out in the pandemic, leaving their own families, getting on subways and going to take care of other people who desperately relied on them to get medication, to get a bath, to get food, and to just be cared for. And these women are not being paid a living wage. We didn't get everything that we wanted or as much as we wanted, but we got something for this population, and we're back. We'll be going back, and I will be fighting to get more. We didn't get we wanted 150%. We didn't get that, but we did get something, and there was an increase in their pay. And we're fighting for that. We were also able to give money to our distressed hospitals, our safety net hospitals that took care of so many during the pandemic and who went into the red behind it. Our hospitals really suffered, but they took care of our patients. So we were able to make many of them whole. We still want to do more. We need to do more. We have a terrible shortage of nurses. I'm working with the New York State Nurses Association and some other organizations to increase nurses. We desperately need nurses, community boards. I'm going to be calling everyone together. We have to find a way to recruit people into this. We included in the budget some loan forgiveness for nursing tuition because we know it costs to be that. But I want to see even more stronger supports put in there, even childcare to help our community members go out and get into a great profession where we really have an emergency in terms of the shortage of nurses that are available in this country. So that's something that I plan to continue working on. Today, I brought some attention to something as chair of the New York State Standing Committee on the women's issues. I introduced in my conference passed a resolution memorializing Governor Hochul to proclaim today, April 26, 2022, as Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Day. And like so many issues, domestic violence has a disproportionate impact on communities of color. We know that the anti-domestic violence movement has been making a difference for over 40 years, but so much more remains to be done. And I look forward to being at the vanguard of important changes and modernizations, and additional resources needed to make sure that we're proactively meeting the needs of victims and survivors. And related to domestic violence, and I'll end with this, is that I was fortunate enough, caucus weekend just passed, and I thought it was very important to heighten the awareness around human trafficking. It is a problem in our communities. It takes young children away from us. There's human trafficking for sex work purposes, but there's also human trafficking where we have modern day slavery going on, and it's impacting and affecting a lot of people in our community. So I have prioritized my focus on eradicating this from our communities with a suite of 13 bills that I've introduced in the Senate after extensive conversations with victims, with families, with the Manhattan DA's office and advocates and others. The bills focus on information, empowerment, and proactive solutions, including an interceptor program, a universal statewide hotline, dedicated shelter provisions, and other supports, as well as arming the DA's office with some tools to prosecute, with some stronger tools to prosecute. So that's something you're going to hear a lot more from me about. I'm also a strong supporter of good cause eviction, which is, we held a press conference up here today, and my colleagues, Senator Salazar and others who will sponsor it, who are the lead sponsors on that bill, but I am a lead supporter of that bill. And we want to get that passed because, you know, it's one thing, we are dealing with a homelessness crisis already, but to have people who are already housed and be threatened with eviction is only going to compound the problem that we already have. And we need to make sure that landlords are not putting profit over people and just pulling leases out from underneath people. We need stability in rents for people who are paying certain rents and who can afford to pay those rents but can't pay much more. We do need good cause eviction, and we also need to make sure that good cause eviction does not impact our small homeowners, our small homeowners who are few and far between that own property and could be impacted. So I have been working with advocates to make sure that that is not the case. Those are just some of the things that I'm working on. I won't take up any more of your time because I know y'all have a lot of business to take care of. And I thank you. Thank you for having me here with you this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy that no one complained about having such a good chunk of information.
Oh,
I have a question of my own as to your program on the just released inmates.
Yes.
But I have Wayne first, Nobles second. So Wayne.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Cordell. Good to see you.
Good evening, sir.
On 421A, I know Community Ward 12 passed at least 2 resolutions over the last 10 or 12 years discussing reforms to 421A. And you're absolutely right. You know, the program was, you know, intended to help promote affordable housing, but it has for the most part supported market rate. You know, if you were able to review those resolutions, some of the ideas set forth in there, I think should be an integral part of whatever is put in place to replace 421A, because frankly, doing something that, you know, alleviates the real estate tax burden from housing is part of what makes it affordable.
Wayne, I welcome those type of suggestions, and I will certainly have you as one of the stakeholders that come to the table and help us figure out something better. Because one of the things that I said, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh, we need you to support it, you should support, and I, you know, and they gave strong suggestions to me that I needed to support it. And I understand labor, I understand developers' costs, but you know, we build affordable housing to house people. That's the priority. That is the priority, to house people. And everything else is secondary. If we can get great jobs out of it, we want that. If we can get developers to make profit, we want that, but that's not the priority and that's not the purpose of affordable housing. So I welcome that. And I'm going to be talking to all the boards and see how we can do a better job of creating deeper affordability for the people who actually live in our community. So thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, I welcome it.
Barnes and Nobles.
Thank you, Chair. And also thank you, Senator Clear. You gave honestly the most robust breakdown of some of the things in the budget that I have not seen. And I'll be quite honest, I have not seen a lot of news about what were like the individual pieces of the budget. Unfortunately, because usually there's a great breakdown. And to fight the cynicism and the apathy in our neighborhoods, it's good for folks like the community board here to know the specifics of what we actually did win in the budget. So I appreciate your breakdown, and I appreciate you for your work that you do. My question, I don't see my man Francisco out there yet. He hasn't popped up on camera. But when it comes to the equitable rollout of the legalization and the business of marijuana in our disenfranchised neighborhoods from victimized from before, this has been a priority, especially for neighborhoods like ours in the 71st Assembly District, 72nd Assembly District. Again, my man Francisco, business development, we had conversation about this a long time. We still have yet to see funding of an equitable rollout of the new legislation that we all benefit from. Was there anything in the budget that actually is there to support that when it comes to bringing money back to our neighborhood after losing so many people and also money over the years for things that are all good now? Thank you.
That is a great question, and I'm really glad you asked about it. I'm one of those people who was out there fighting for the legalization. And the main thing I looked at when we were first fighting for legalization was in terms of the war on drugs and the great impact, the devastation that it took on our community, and how harmed we were by it, and I can give you real life recollections of being younger. And, I live in a part of Harlem that's where, Morningside Park separates one part of Harlem from another part of Harlem. And you go, up to Columbia, and they had great parties up there and lots for everybody. And I've never seen one single raid, one single ever arrest of anybody ever, but just blocks away through the park. Let's go to 8th Avenue and 116th Street. And we had the greatest exodus of young men and young people around drug charges, and specifically around marijuana charges. So it was always, to me, unjust that people would have this. So one of the things is what you're talking about is, for me, restorative justice means the expungement, but it also means that if there's something to be profited from this, that it should go to our communities first. And that is something that I've been arguing and I've been staying on the top of. We did put something in the budget. It's a little more extensive to explain to you what it was, and I'm not satisfied with it completely. However, I'll say this, as I pushed, people were telling me, and they're still telling me, because it is so new, the Office of Cannabis Management is still being formed. They are still hiring, and the regulations are still being written, but those regulations will be monitored carefully. They have to come back to us to approve. So I've been pressing every week, every day. Yes, I'm watching everything that is going on and what's being done, because I did stand up in outrage in my conference because there were temporary licenses that were approved this year. But it was explained to me, and I calmed down just a little, because they were saying they wanted to get seed in the ground this year. But I've been assured that the farmers that got those growers licenses, they were temporary growers licenses, that those farmers, it's just temporary for 2 years. They have to come back to be reapproved. But at the same time, what we did put money in for was a growers mentorship program. Because when you think about growers, our community, we've come away from farms a long way. So that's one of the things I thought was useful, that we have mentorships and opportunities for our community to grow, as well as, because that's the start. You first have to have the product. But I am on it with you. I'd love to That's another thing. And I've been talking to some of my colleagues and some of the people, Tremaine Wright, who's head of the board of the Cannabis, the Office of Cannabis Management, that we want to have forums that give information to the community as soon as this information is ready. But right now it is still being formulated. There's limited information out there. But I love the question and I'm on it and I want to stay on it. So let's just keep on talking about it and make sure that the most harmed communities are able to benefit.
Thank you, Senator. And that's an awesome point about the mentorship. I'll certainly look into that for folks to have those conversations with. Appreciate it.
Got it.
Thank you. And last question from Maria Ali. Chief, I hope you're enjoying our presentations here. Don't get bored.
Thank you, Eleazar. Good evening, Senator Clear. Thank you so much for your presentation. I've been in touch with Grant from your office, and Grant has been incredibly helpful in kind of working with our Housing and Human Services Committee. And so obviously you're doing quite a bit of work on both of those issues. So just, kind of putting on the record that we would like to invite you when your schedule allows to join us at a future meeting. I'm particularly interested in your work on human trafficking and domestic violence. I used to do some work on that many years ago, but still very much a very important issue. So again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to having you at a future meeting.
Thank you. And I look forward to being there. As session, we have, I think, 17 more days, Assemblyman, of session. Not 17 consecutive, but June 2nd should be our last day. I'm up in Albany right now, and we should be down in the districts, and that gets me a little more freedom to move around to district meetings. So I look forward to it.
All right, great. Maria, I'm probably going to channel my questions to Senator Clear through you so that I get the opportunity to speak to you and her at the same time. So I don't want to take so much long from your time, but I have a very loaded question, and especially on the inmate release program, and why hasn't the cannabis agencies use local agencies for the rollout and the marketing and the informational marketing of the marijuana program? Why they went mainstream instead of just going local? But I'll take that on a more of a offsite in a personal. Okay.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
I sure will. Thank you so much for your time. Manny.
Well, thank you so much for.
Manny, wait a second. I have to introduce you. You are newly elected.
That's fine.
Assemblyman Manny Dos Santos, a friend, whose new suit and the background in the picture has not changed him. So Manny, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chair. I'd like to first thank you all for your hard work. I know what it takes to do this work. I once served Community Board 12 for a few years, but my dear friend and Senator, that was beautifully said. Since like you have my talking point at one point, so I don't want to sound redundant, but I do agree. As you know, we passed this month's a historical budget. No budget's perfect. It's the reason why they call him the big ugly. But I'm proud to say that, we had a lot of victories in this year budget. Is $220 billion that include opportunity for a lot of working class family, particularly to the one that lives in our district. And I am also honored to say that some of the stuff that, aside from what the senator mentioned, that we championed on conference with the speaker as majority in the assembly, was not only the $350 million for public housing, but in addition to that, we also extended $100 million for Mitchell-Lama apartment for the reservation and for the ownership of the program, which is critically important to preserve Mitchell-Lama. As you know, in my district, in the 72nd Assembly District, we have a lot of Mitchell-Lama units. So, and here on the call is a couple of the residents. So I see smiley faces. But in terms of the budget, we also made investment for the $227 million for gun violence prevention program. As we know, crimes is going up. We are very aware of the work we have to do And that's one of the reasons why it was critically important for not only at the higher chamber, but also in the assembly to allocate these funds. We also, as a social worker, this is personal to me. I'm proud to report that, I'm going to take this very personal, because in conference, I advocated, met with the Ways and Means, met with the speaker, and told the speaker that I need for us at the majority to ensure that we doubled our investment in mental health services. So we allocated $100 million to ensure that not only our local District 6 has sufficient social workers, but also throughout the city and the state of New York. And as we talked about, allocation, we also allocated $500 million to the offshore wind energy, which is critically important to our, to maintain and to keep our infrastructure and our clean energy and environmental protection. I have to say that I don't want to repeat everything that the senator so beautifully put together, but you will get this information in the mailer soon. You should be getting a mailer with a breakdown of all the victories and allocation we made, in addition to the extended healthcare coverage for senior citizens 65 and older, right? And doesn't matter your immigration status. That was a victory that was included to the budget. And undocumented women who are also expecting, they will be also covered for a whole year. And I'm very proud of that. So you will see a breakdown of all these victories and allocation on a mailer that should be going out in the next 2 weeks. I also helped a community budget forum about 2 weeks ago to inform the community about this year's budget. And it was put together with a lot of the nonprofit organization that has benefited, will continue to benefit from this year's budget. And we had over 70 folks in attendance. I also sent out an introductory mailer that went out also about 2 weeks ago, where I included a survey where it indicates to my constituent, how can I be more effective as a legislator, and what are some of the concerns that you may have that I can be helpful, that I can advocate for you on my new capacity. In terms of legislator, we still have a few days, as my colleague alluded to it, but one of the focus that I will be focusing on would be the good cause eviction, right? Early, I had mentioned in my first community board meeting that almost 5,000 residents has received eviction notice. And to me, when I first came to Albany, that was one of the first bill that I thought it was critically important to sign on. It's a game changer, and we need to preserve our affordable housing. And this bill would do exactly that. It would provide protection to our tenants. And that is a fight that I look forward with my colleagues in the Senate and the rest of my colleagues in the Assembly to ensure that we continue to get more co-sponsoring, and that we continue to meet with the experts, with the advocates, to ensure that we get the all that we need to ensure that we pass this bill. I have to report that I have also passed over, I have co-sponsor over 100 legislation that are reflected and reflects the best interest of our community and the issue that we often are fighting for as it relates to education, health coverage, environmental, educational, mental health, you name it. And looking forward to be introducing, as I have one bill that I already introduced, and in terms of equity, and working a few more. You would be obviously full aware of this introduction. But I also have conducted a few meet and greet throughout the district, and will continue to do that. If any of you are interested in meeting with me in person via Zoom, or want to meet somewhere for coffee in the community, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to learn more about some of the concerns you may have and how can I be helpful in my new capacity. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Not leaving just yet. Sally has a question, and Barbara has, I hope, one question.
Thanks, Manny, for your report and especially for your commitment to focusing on mental health services. If I had a number one request, it's that you, along with senators, your fellow assembly members, et cetera, get the 30-bed psych unit at Allen Pavilion of New York Presbyterian Hospital reinstated. I mean, it's criminal. We have no place to place people whose needs for inpatient mental health services are only exploding. So whatever you guys can do, and I know that the senator who just spoke has also made a commitment to work on our behalf, but this is their failure to reinstate these beds, while not a criminal matter, is certainly of ethical concern.
Absolutely, Sarah. Thank you so much for the question. You have, I can speak on behalf of my colleague, Senator Robert Jackson, Senator Clear. You have my full commitment. I will be speaking with Ways and Means and with the speaker. This is our priority for, given my background as a social worker, I know how critically important this is for our community, but not only for our community, for other communities throughout the state of New York. So definitely on board, and this definitely will be a priority moving forward.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Barbara, last question, and then we
Okay,
Barbara.
Couple quick things. Adding on to what Sally said, to also focus on the expansion of mental health beds, especially for adolescents, and especially there are horrible statistics about suicide among Hispanic females, Hispanic teenagers. So I want that looked at, specifically focused on, because there are very few beds that focus on, especially in our community. And then the only adolescent beds available are way up in the White Plains, Bloomingdale campus. And we need beds here in our community for our teenagers. So that's a quick thing there. The other thing I wanted to ask was stopping that Buffalo Stadium boondoggle. You guys in Albany control the purse. It is obscene that billionaires would be given this tax break. And I want your assurance that you're going to work with everyone else to stop that. And it's a love fest between Hochul and her husband and a bunch of other billionaires for the sleaziest kind of sweet deal. So would you please comment on that?
Thank you, Barbara. In terms of the stadium, I was one of the 13 members to sign on to a letter to oppose this $850 million stadium. And I will, this fight is not over, as we all know, and we'll stay on task, even with all the legislative priority that we couldn't get to it, we couldn't, get into victory. But moving forward, this is definitely would be a priority in our agenda, and you have my commitment on that. As I stated before, one of the 13 from the assembly that I signed on into the opposing the stadium. And in terms of mental health, as I alluded before, this is personal to me, to ensure that we continue to create living condition, equity and dignity for hundreds of undocumented and Latino and New Yorkers in New York State.
What's the status?
We have a lot of them.
Okay.
And what's the status of the stadium? What's the status? My colleague who are here that can also testify to this. This is a personal priority to the governor, that has been requested from her home state, Buffalo. And we opposed it. A lot of our members, but there's also members in the assembly that are from Buffalo and upstate New York that are in support of this stadium because of the Jack creation. And they pretty much emphasizing that this is like the Yankees, the New York Jets or Giants that they had. This is what it means to them. And they had been waiting for this stadium for years to come. So this is a campaign promise, I think, also for the governor. But that won't stop me from opposing. That could be money that we can be using towards building affordable housing, for mental health services, for education, right? For all the things that we need and that we couldn't champion in this year budget. And to also provide health coverage for all, right? Yes.
Yeah, I get it. And to continue to fight for fair pay for home care workers. We got it to 18 as my colleague alluded, but that was not the goal. The goal was to get it to 2250.
Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you for being so available and open to questions. I know that you guys have a lot of questions in mind, but for the sake of moving the meeting along and use the best usage of our time, any questions that you may have, you can either send it to us, post it on the chat, or call our elected officials directly.
I'm sorry, Chair. I'm still in session, so you might have to go off and on to make someone speaking on the floor, etc. Just that FYI.
All right, great, Manny. Thank you. This man needs no introduction. Mark Levin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Really wonderful to get the update from our newly elected Assemblymember Manny de los Santos. Really appreciate you, my friend, and great to see the update from Senator Clear as well. I think that next up, we're going to hear from FDNY Battalion Chief Dudley, and I just want to say to you, sir, and every member of the FDNY family, that our heart really breaks for the loss of firefighter Timothy Klein this week. Just a horrible loss that, even though it occurred in Brooklyn, we're grieving here in Manhattan as well. Just a reminder of the sacrifices that the members of the department are willing to make for us every day. So thank you, sir. And I know we'll be hearing from you shortly.
I think we already did, Mark.
Oh, forgive me. So everything I said still stands.
Very good. Thank you.
I want to talk about a crisis occurring in housing court in Manhattan and all over New York City, where the number of eviction cases is rising because of a backlog that accumulated during the pandemic moratorium, and of course, new cases being added every day. The number of cases has now exceeded the capacity of our legal aid providers to fulfill the legally mandated right to counsel that tenants have in New York City. It's really my proudest accomplishment in the council in 2017 is making New York City the first place in America to establish right to counsel for tenants facing eviction. And it's being undermined now. In Manhattan, the largest legal aid provider, Legal Aid NYC, has announced that they are taking no more eviction cases in Manhattan. So tenants now risk facing an eviction with no attorney provided through legal aid. This really is a disaster. It could mean that families lose their home and end up being homeless. And unfortunately, CB12 is amongst those community boards with the highest eviction rates now post-pandemic in Manhattan. We have called on the court system, the Office of Court Administration, to slow the calendaring of cases in order to avoid this terrible situation. They have that power. Judges have the power to say they're not going to move any cases if the tenant does not have their right to counsel fulfilled. They're refusing to do that. The court system has steadfastly refused to do that, but we're standing up really strongly to demand that action on behalf of tenants and CB12 and citywide. Next, I do want to update you on another budget front. There's a budget in New York City as well. It's just $100 billion. And the mayor today unveiled the executive budget. Of course, still has to be negotiated before passage in June. There are some previous announcements which I think are good news, including expansion of summer youth employment slots now to 100,000. They extended the deadline. That's good news. There's new money for safe haven shelters and other priorities to help our fellow New Yorkers who are experiencing homeless get in off the street. There's one piece of good news in the parks budget, which hasn't gotten a lot of press yet, but they're what the administration is calling a down payment on the pledge to get 1% of the budget devoted to parks. We're still far from that, but there is going to be an expansion in park staffing of about 750 full-time positions. I want to make sure that the Parks of Community Board 12 see the benefit of those new positions. These are the gardeners, the maintenance workers, I believe PEP officers as well, that are so critical to our parks. Of course, this has not yet been passed into the budget, but it's an executive proposal by the mayor's side, and it could really mean good things for our parks uptown. There's much more that we are fighting for in social services for the most vulnerable, and I'll keep you updated together with our wonderful council members, De La Rosa and Abreu, on that front as well. On the COVID front, I want to alert you to mixed news for CB12. Positivity rates have been rising, though below the city average right now in Community Ward 12 in the 3 zip codes that you touch. We're at about 5% positivity in Washington Heights and Inwood. That number is increasing, but lower than the city average, interestingly, which we can talk about why that might be if there's time. But I want to alert you to the fact that CB12 is behind on booster shots. We're only at about less than a third of residents of Community Board 12 have gotten their booster. That really leaves us vulnerable to this wave and future waves. And I would love it if Community Board 12 could use its voice, and you as leaders could use your voice to say it's still really important that you get your booster. Very, very, very few people are now getting boosters. We're really stuck on that. We're also using the resources of my office to help get families in Community Board 12 access to resources like testing kits. We did a great distribution in Marble Hill a couple of weeks ago where we're giving out COVID safety bags. We gave out hundreds next to the subway stop in Marble Hill, which included rapid tests, digital thermometers, oximeters, pulse oximeters, and other material. So we're continuing to fight to protect everyone from the COVID perspective here in CB12 and beyond. Finally, Mr. Chair, from an operational perspective, you face a huge challenge in the open meeting law. And we got some good news in the state budget on that front. There's been a 60-day extension of the status quo. It goes through, I believe, June 15th, where you can continue to operate in a virtual fashion. We didn't get all we had hoped in the permanent change, although it is definitely a big step in the right direction. It will not allow for a full online option, unfortunately, but it will allow you to operate in a hybrid format that will require you to achieve a quorum via in-person board members. But once that is achieved, board members are allowed to not just be counted present virtually, but even have their vote counted virtually. That is better than what we could have reverted to if the pre-pandemic rules had been brought back. That raises all sorts of questions about how you excuse absences, how you ensure that you do achieve a quorum in person. And actually, the law is going to require that Community Board 12 and all boards pass a resolution defining some of the details on how you're going to operate under this new system post June 15th, and also do a public hearing on the topic. Now you have about 2 months to do that, but there's a lot of questions on the line. My office will continue to be a partner for you in this effort. We are devoting major resources in our office, especially with our general counsel, to help you determine the legal parameters that you have to navigate, and we'll continue to do that. On the Zoom with us now is our wonderful Mariel de la Cruz, who many of you know, who's an integral team member here and no stranger to all of you. And she can be a point of contact, as can my community affairs team on this and many other topics. So I'm going to pause there and pass it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Well, not going anywhere. Steve Simon goes first. He has a short question. Nobles?
I was first, but it's okay. I have a dark skin hand. Maybe you can't see that
it's
little
not
guy
even
on the
about
top
that.
there.
My policy is
it's,
we haven't.
it's okay. I'll let the steward of the public, Mr. Simon, go first.
Age
So I can
before
wait.
beauty, Nobles,
wait a
age
second.
before beauty.
I didn't have to go there.
My policy is if we haven't said anything, you go
It's
first.
all good. No, Mr. Simon can go first. We're good.
Age before beauty.
Thank you, Barbara. I have 2 or 3 points, I guess, related to COVID. Mark, the point I've made before, and I'll make it again, is that one of the reasons we're so far behind on boosters is because we're also far behind on people being vaccinated to begin with people getting their first and or their second shots. So, we're way behind the rest of the city, and we're certainly way behind the rest of Manhattan. We're lagging behind by in zip code 34 by 10 points behind the rest of the city and 20 points behind the rest of Manhattan, and that's our maybe worst example. So I think we need to work harder to get the message out and make vaccines more available to people in our community. And with respect to the city is now, because of the increased positivity rates recently, the city, as you know, is now providing free home testing kits, distributing them through libraries and cultural sites in all 5 boroughs. In our community, the only place where this is being offered is at the Washington Heights Library at 1000 St. Nicholas Avenue and 160th Street. And I would ask you maybe to use your influence to see if you can add another site up in Washington Heights. The Port Washington Library is closed because of construction, but there must be some other place, a church or some other place that can be used to distribute the free home testing kits. And up in Inwood, we still have a library of sorts, and I don't know why we're not using that library. So I think we need to make more of an effort to get the testing kits out.
Is there any questions?
Thank you for all those comments. And we will push for those additional distribution points. It's really a wonderful program the city's offering. You can go into these libraries and culturals and get a free home test. I think it's limit 1 person per day, but you can go every day if you want to test regularly. So I'll ask Maria from our team to make a note of your request for additional sites, and we'll definitely follow up on that. In terms of the vaccination rates, you're right that CB12 is behind in general on vaccination, but Steve, something's happened. Less than half of the people who got their primary vaccine series, including in Washington Heights, Inwood, and Marble Hill, have gotten their booster shot. So these are not anti-vaxxers, right? These are people who they got their initial series. And when I've talked to many folks who fall into that category, they just sort of feel like, they don't need to bother anymore because the pandemic's, quote, over. And so those are folks who really have to reach. Citywide, there's almost 3.5 million people who fall into that category. That should really be our priority in reaching them. And I'm pushing very, very hard for that. Thank you, Steve.
I think you have a valid point, but I'm very concerned about people who have not been vaccinated at all.
That too.
I think we can discuss that further during your report. It's my guess. It's Nobles.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine. Really appreciate the breakdown and how also the state budget works into what we're looking at coming to us. And I do believe, just real quick with Parks and Cultural Affairs hat on, this is the first time, if we do get in this budget, that Parks will ever have a piece in the budget. Is that correct? Even that 1% is from zero, right?
No. So
that's different.
City Parks Department, as Steve knows, is currently at about 0.6% of the total budget. The mayor actually took a pledge in the campaign, something I've supported for many, many years, that the parks budget would be restored to 1% of the total city spending. That'd be $1 billion at today's levels. We're not there yet. The mayor proposed an exec of 600 million, which is progress, but and particularly good news on the permanent staffing. But we have a long way to go to get to 1%.
Got it. Then I was misunderstanding a certain stat that I had in my head. But unfortunately, that was not my question. My question is a little bit deeper than that. And I appreciate the update basically on your legacy of right to counsel, because that is super vital for the city and something I will, no matter how long I live in the city, forever, I hope, like I will always look after that because it's a good piece of what we have here. When it comes to that though, do you see anything working in the state or in the city when it comes to corporations owning housing in our city to a clip of hundreds that they don't even live in? Is there any legislation moving to make sure corporations do not own our housing here?
Are you talking about investment vehicles that are buying residential
300, 400 units, correct. Like, and I'm talking like LLCs, no, folks that, basically ghost LLCs, corporations buying housing in our city, more, not even for investment, but necessarily for a commodity. I think you know what I'm talking about. Have you seen any legislation moving, state or local, to help us break that cycle of running our rents up for investment and not for living?
Sure. I mean, there is such a thing as predatory equity that has pumped up the price of some of these properties to the point where they have to raise rents to meet their mortgage payments, and tenants, of course, lose. And there has been some legislation at the state level to rein that in, also to bring more transparency. These LLCs are really shielding the identities of the owners. This came up in a big way in the Ukraine war crisis when our ability to seize assets of Russian oligarchs who are connected to Putin was greatly hampered by the fact that they're buying properties under the cover of LLCs. And it's very, very hard, even for law enforcement. I mean, that's how crazy this is, to identify the actual owner. And there is some legislation in Albany that would essentially lift the veil. So there's definitely work we need to do on this. Most of this is done at the state level, but I certainly want to lend my voice to this effort as well. And appreciate your comments, Nobles.
Thank you. Beauty before age, Allie.
Okay, thanks, Nibble. President Levine, thank you for your report, and especially for the 750 more FTEs. Hoping we will get to the day when the 1% pledge can be honored. My question, following up on Steve's, in terms of the positivity rates, the 5% is obviously low because we're not recording or measuring the results of at-home testing. So that sort of compromises the data that we're looking at. And one of the issues, we've been asking for a long time to have a permanent testing and vac site in Northern Manhattan and in Inwood. And I wonder what can be done given our disparate vax and booster rates.
Well, I don't want to get too down a rabbit hole, the technical details. We are wildly undercounting testing in New York City and America right now because of the shift to home test. I've been pushing very hard for the city to create a way you can report your home test results, ideally a web portal and a phone option. And we don't have that. So we're just continuing to undercount. Positivity, however, is still a valuable measure, because remember, that's not the total number. And so the fact that even in the midst of this undercount, positivity is increasing should indicate that something's happening. Not cause for panic, but it's a reminder that we're still facing a pandemic. And on your point of more testing and vaccination sites, if there's a part of the community that you feel is unserved, a certain segment of CB12, please let me know. Maybe we can get a mobile van relocated there. If you feel there's a particularly underserved area in CB12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Francisco.
Hey, Mr. Levine, how you doing?
Hi, Francisco. Good to see you.
Yes. So I just wanted to kind of respond to the lack of booster shots in the community. I think. Okay. Deja que yo estoy hablando. One of the things that I'm seeing, two things, is outreach and the lack of translation. As you know, Washington Heights is a predominantly Dominican community. When you say numbers like a third of the people are boosted, that is a reflection of the predominance of the community. So I don't see that the outreach by the state or the city to make sure that the pockets in which folks are gathering are not being paid attention to, the barbershops, the salons, the check cashing places. Like, these are places where people frequent day in and day out, dry cleaners, and there's not enough outreach to these businesses where most of the folks that, you know, live in this community frequent. So the translation has always been a problem. Getting things in Spanish has always been an issue since the beginning of the pandemic. There's a lot of misinformation going on within the Hispanic community about booster shots, about just being vaccinated in general.
Question.
People are listening to their friends and listening to other, and not honing in on the information that's coming from the state, because the outreach isn't there the way that they need to receive it. So I just want to make that suggestion that there needs to be more outreach specifically to those who are non-English speaking, speak Spanish. I think that's something that needs to be paid more attention to.
I appreciate that, Francisco. I agree. I absolutely agree. We need to be sending people out to places like you mentioned, barbershops and beauty salons, and even door to door, particularly if we can identify buildings where the rate's particularly low. And they have to speak the languages of our community and our city. Language access has been a major challenge in public health and beyond. So I'm calling for these exact measures. I'm calling for the city to launch a really broad, aggressive campaign to promote boosters and first shots as well, and that it be done led by community members who have cultural competency and language competency, exactly as you mentioned.
If I might comment as well, Francisco, well, thank you for bringing up such an important point. One of the homework that I had embarked since I became an assembly member was to visit, to do a tour district-wide, and particularly focus also on the small business, right? Because of the language barrier that I'm well aware of. So I look forward to extend my conversation with them and see in which way at the state level we can be of an assistance, a resource to them. But we're absolutely on target with this. That's one of the purpose of me visiting every small business, whether it's a barbershop, a salon, a restaurant, mom and pops. It's just to learn more about them and how can I be helpful to them in my new capacity as their representative, and work in collaboration with our local leader, the borough president, and the council member, etc.
All right. Mary, I have 10 more minutes in this session, so I'm gonna try and take 2 more questions of those who have not participated yet. So I have Mary and Aisha. Mary, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to mention in terms of the testing vans, one of the problems that seniors have, because I have the problem, is that most of the vans you have to scan the code and then answer a whole bunch of questions on your phone. My problem, I could not do that myself. I can see other, and I know other people have had the same issue. So that is really, a detriment to, being able to utilize those vans.
Yes, Mary, I've also experienced the complexity of filling out the forms, et cetera, on your phone when you want to get a test. Now, I believe that those who don't have a smartphone or for other reason can't operate one, that there's a paper option that they can complete, but that may only be at the brick and mortar spots, not the vans. I will confirm this.
Yeah, it's not at the vans, because I have tried several vans in my area.
And they wouldn't let you do it without the cell check-in?
No.
Okay. You identified something that we will work on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Aisha, last question on this session, Mark. We're not going to punish you any longer.
Good evening. So my question is in relation to, I know with the original vaccine that there were incentives that were given. I'm not sure if there are any in relation to the booster, but what I found with the incentives where the regular vaccine is concerned, I've referred many people and basically telling them, and if you do this, you'll be able to get this. But when they tried to look it up, there were none in our district. They were all somewhere deep in the Bronx. And so I'm just curious if there is an incentive for the booster that may be a way of getting people to do it, but can we have it in our district?
Aisha, great question. So until February 28th, you could get $100 for your initial vaccine series, for your booster, whether you are an adult or a young person, at any city-run site. Which I believe also included city vans in CB12. So I'm not exactly sure about the fact that they had to go to the Bronx. What might have happened is that as of February 28th, the program was canceled everywhere in the city. There are no more $100 incentives for boosters or initial shots anywhere in New York City. I've called for the return of that as one strategy to try and jumpstart vaccination, which is really fallen off a cliff here. So again, as of now, it's not happening anywhere. It should happen in every city-run site. If we can get it back going, and for some reason it's not being offered in Washington Heights, that would be a terrible problem, and we would work with you on that. But first, we got to fight to get the incentive back as a general matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Aisha.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks, CB12, for all those great questions. Really appreciated it.
And answering so many different questions and interested and very informative. Manny, same to you too. Next, but not least, is our dear State Senator Robert Jackson. Mr. Jackson, get a couple of questions to Mr. Jackson himself.
Good evening, Eliasat. I will be doing State Senator Robert Jackson's reports, and I believe he is in the audience and will be able to take some questions after the very brief.
So you'll be giving his report?
Yes, yes. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice meeting you.
So good evening, everyone. Senator Clear and Assembly Member De Los Santos spoke a lot about the state budget, so I'll just be giving a couple more highlights. Also, our office sent over the budget summary highlights to Ebenezer for distribution to CB12 members. So hopefully you'll be getting that as well. So in terms of housing, there was $800 million for ERAP, $125 million towards homeowner and landlord assistance, and $250 million in utility arrears assistance. As it pertains to education, there was $1.4 billion for the continued phase of the foundation aid formula, which was a result of the campaign for fiscal equity. This was a movement led by Senator Jackson in the 90s, so that's really exciting. There was also $5 million in TAP funding for incarcerated students, which will help reduce recidivism and offers the dignity and opportunities to gain employment and productive life after incarceration for that population. That was also great news that Senator Jackson was the proud sponsor of the Turn on the Tap bill, which restored the tuition assistance program. There was also $110 million to support programs in gun violence, legal services, pretrial services, alternatives to incarceration, discovery reforms. There was also $4.2 billion for the landmark Clean Water, Clean Air, and Green Jobs Environmental Bond Act. Session ends in June, and the senator will be in Albany a lot in the next few weeks to continue to push forward his priorities, which include his education package, mental health, class size matters, solutions, not suspensions, as well as bills he is co-sponsoring, such as good costs. He will also continue to work hard to ensure the funding allocated via the state budget gets to the community-based organizations so they can continue to serve our constituents. And lastly, as Civil Service and Pensions Chair, he is focused on workforce development and reforming the pension system to attract and retain talent in public service. In terms of the district or in-district events, we had a wonderful attending clinic last week with Manhattan Legal Services, as well as Met Council on Housing regarding rent overcharges. We also had a lovely Earth Day plonking event, which was picking up plastic while walking with Friends of Inwood Hill Park and neighbors. And then on April 28th, we will be having a Know Your Utility Rights virtual forum in collaboration with the Public Utility Law Project. Folks who are behind on utility bills and in need of assistance are encouraged to join us. That will be a virtual event. And on Wednesday, May 4th, we're having a Scree-Dree clinic from noon to 3 p.m. at 5030 Broadway, Suite 600 in Inwood. Elderly persons over age 62 or persons with disabilities, regardless of age, who make $50,000 or less may qualify to have their rent frozen. So our office will be helping out filling applications and answering any questions. We're also planning on working with partners to have vaccine vans in the neighborhood in the near future. And that is it. If you have any questions for Senator Jackson, I believe he should be able to unmic and answer them. Thank you.
Any questions for Jodalis Moran, right? Did I say it right?
Perfectly. Thank you.
Tells you have a big audience, but everyone really kind of got your presentations. They don't have any questions. So thank you. Moving along to John Francis. Debbie, I know you'll be your host to all of us. So John, a representative of Council Member Sean Abreu.
And my daughter Selma, she'll be joining us here tonight. How you guys doing? I'm John Francis. I'm the district director for District 7 under Councilmember Sean Abreu. So we've been pretty busy lately. Summer youth employment opportunities have opened up. So New York Summer Youth Employment Program is going to be up and running for youth between the ages of 14 and 24. So if you know the young people who might be interested in having a job over the summer, feel free to have them apply on our website. I'll just have them Google the SYEP link and they should be able to apply there. We've had some legislative wins this week. We just introduced new legislation aimed at helping us better understand and support children who lost their caregivers as a result of COVID-19. 1 in every 200 children in New York City have suffered from this tragedy since the start of the pandemic, nearly twice the national rate. The bill requires the Administration for Children's Services, ACS, to report on the unique needs of these families and the plan for ACS to address them. You can get more information from our website. Sean also sponsored a bill that will increase the fines on landlords who persistently fail to fix heat and hot water issues. I know winter is done, but still it will come again. So we're calling a resolution calling for the passage of the HEAL Act, which would stop sorry, I think I may have jumped ahead. We're also calling a resolution for the passage of the HEAL Act, which would stop hospitals from charging inflated prices. Just to kind of reiterate what Mark had spoken about regarding the eviction crisis. So the eviction moratorium has ended. Evictions are starting to move through the court system at an unprecedented rate. As a result, this large caseload, the largest legal aid provider, Lisney, they're no longer taking cases. I know that right now they may be giving advice, but being a previous housing court attorney myself, along with Sean, we know how invaluable it is to have an attorney. We're trying to work with the Office of Court Administration to identify ways to slow the eviction cases in order for individuals to exercise their right to counsel. Recently, the Rent Guidelines Board released an unacceptable proposal that would jack up rent for many tenants. Their initial recommendation would allow one-year leases to charge 2.7 to 4.5% more for rent. Now they're trying to get away with just one public hearing. So we're demanding that they host a hearing in each borough that's accessible both in person and online. We had a win for labor. So 32 BJ's recent rally on the east side was a sight to behold. Thousands of workers, organizers, and representatives stood shoulder to shoulder to fight for a fair contract. We fought and we won. There has been historic wage increases, healthcare coverage, and protected leave are all in the win column. So we've been participating. Sorry about that. So we've been working with Brotherhood and Sister Soul process. I know Manhattan Bar President Mark Levine was there for their new building. We were also there for their ribbon cutting ceremony. I think it was last weekend. So Brosis provides life-changing opportunities for young people in Upper Manhattan, including extracurricular activities, academic support, and the chance to develop as many young activists and future leaders. They deserve all the support we can give them. Feel free to reach out to them regarding any of their programs that they may offer, especially for the young people. Last but not least, we are gonna we officially welcomed back Uptown Night Market back to Harlem. So I know there's a Bronx version, but feel free to come out, have some food, have some music, have some fun in the community. What else can you ask for? And last but not least, we just want to keep reminding people we have our sanitation forum. I personally am the one who manages it. So any eyesores, any illegal dumpings, any issues regarding garbage or trash, any issues with DSNY, feel free to go onto our website and submit it to our sanitation forum, and then we'll get on top of it right away. That's it.
Well, that's part of it. Now you have two questions, one for you and one for the baby. I'm going to start with Sally and then Steve.
Thank you, John Francis, for the cutest report I've ever seen at a community board meeting. That made my day. Just an idea, and it might be too off the wall. Is there any way to either use some of the older, like college student, or, I don't know if it extends to people who are in law school, but some of the summer youth employment kids to help do some of the research that might assist legal aid, or else striking deals with some of the local law schools to try and recruit some of their students to provide backup to our legal aid providers?
That might be a good idea. I know that I went to CUNY School of Law, that for some of our seminars or law clinics, we did work with legal aid organizations. So if they want to use those law students to help with the intakes or help with researching benefits and connecting people with one-shot deals, I think it's a great idea. I'll pass that along to Sean and see what he thinks.
Thank you.
Steve.
Yeah, hi, John. I'm the chair of the Health and Environment Committee. I'm interested in that piece of legislation about the HEAL Act. Is that an intro or a resolution?
That's a resolution.
Oh, okay. Do you know the resolution number so I can get it off the council website?
I don't have it here, but you can email me that request at jfrancis for everyone. jfrancis at council, council.nyc.gov. And I can just send it to you when I get a chance tomorrow.
All right, I'll shoot you an email. About the Uptown Night Market, by the way, is organized by a former chair of this board, who's now the head of the West Harlem Development Corporation, Ziad Ramadan.
Excellent.
John, if you want to post your email address on the chat, that'll be helpful for those of you who couldn't actually hear you say it.
I'm not able to.
It's under Q&A, just under the Q&A, you can post it there. But before you do that, Jermina Alcober, you want to ask a question to John?
Hey, so how's it going? Good evening. So I know that about a few weeks ago, Sean met with Riverside Edgeco Neighborhood Association.
Reno, yes.
Yeah, with Reno, regarding the application that was filled to demolish the buildings on 158th. So I just wanted to know, has there been a follow-up on Sean's position, and what are some concrete actions that Sean has been pushing forward to prevent this from happening?
Well, we've definitely been working on it. We've been reaching with DOB to kind of figure out what the schedule is. We've been trying to contact HBD to see if there's anything they can do. We've been trying to look into what's called a CPRO, like an environmental study, to see if something has been done to see if this building is in any way going to affect, or how it's going to affect the community. Because I know they're going to demolish, I think, 2 to 3 houses. One of them was participating in the Underground Railroad. So we want to see, we're trying to do everything we can do to either slow down the process so we can get an idea as to how to permanently stop this. But I'm sorry, I don't really have much of a concrete answer for you.
Thank you, John.
Wayne, I was just going to ask Wayne for you to chime in. But
Hi, John, Wayne Benjamin. I chair land use, and we would love when the councilman is available for him to join us to talk about these very topics. I believe when you met with members of RENA, they shared with you various resolutions from CB12. So
Yes.
there are actually two different sites, like within a block of each other, that are impacted. The 857 Riverside is the house that was built by an abolitionist and owned by another abolitionist that is in danger of demolition. And on 158th Street, I think there are 4 of 8 row houses that are in danger of demolition. One site is a proposed 17-story building. The other site is a proposed 13-story building. And in each case, these are areas, one is directly adjacent to a historic district in an area where the community board since 2009 have asked LPC to include it in a historic district. And the other one is in an area that we originally also proposed for a historic district. So there's been a lot of city attention to this, as well as city planning not acting on requests for contextual zoning, which would not, permit a 17 or a 13-story building, because in that area, you basically got 6-story buildings.
Nice.
So happy to talk to you and the councilman about that in more detail. But there's a lot of information out there that you can help us push, and we'd appreciate it.
Of course, and I'm probably going to be the point person on this, if I can somehow get this chat to work. But I'll get to my email to you guys, my contact information to you guys one way or another, and just reach out to me. We'll set up the appointment. I'll be there with Sean, and we're going to talk it.
Yeah, I guess if you send it to the office can get it to us.
Yeah, I think I'll just do that, because I'm clicking every button, but it's just not letting me.
All right.
But it's very
John,
simple.
We'll schedule a formal invite for you to come and appear in front of Land Use Committee, chaired by Ron. So thank you for your great presentation. Heard a lot of great things about you. We're a little neighbors the first time around, but you getting it, brother. Keep it going. Debbie, in representation of Congressman Adriano Espaillat. Debbie, floor is yours.
I don't have a cute kid to show on screen, but I am getting interrupted by my cat. Thank you, Eli. Thanks to the board. And I appreciate hearing about all the budget activity at the state level. I want to cover 3 things. One that'll take a minute, and the other one that are very quick. What people used to know as pork or earmarks from years ago went away with Congress, and they came back. I think this is now year 2, possibly year 3, with what's called community project funding. And this is where it's not a direct analogy to city council discretionary funds or state legislature member items, but it is an opportunity for non-federal government entities and non-governmental nonprofits to apply for funding for community-related projects. One thing that the congressman has really enjoyed is visiting the recipients from last year's cycle. We concluded on April 20th the applications for the next cycle, and had actually a huge response across the New York 13th. But I just want to highlight the CB12 organizations that received funding in the New York 13th, but were in also CB12. So starting with one that we all know well on CB12, ARC Community Kitchen, which is part of the ARC Senior Center, which Community Board had been 12 had been so involved in finding a new location and seeing them through to their move to 181st Street. One thing that they didn't get in their move in the build out to the new building was the kitchen. And as people know, Fern Hertzberg and the team at ARC Senior Center do a lot in terms of feeding seniors, and they received $400,000 for that, for the community kitchen. Cloth Food Pantry, what they're calling Cloth Food Pantry Reimagined, received $740,000. Again, I think a lot of the emergency food services were
very much called to serve during the pandemic. And I think out of that came a project to expand their capacity with regard to food delivery. Also $750,000 for the Columbia COVID-19 Northern Manhattan Community Mental Wellness Corps. And finally, $1 million for Weisberg Commons renovation at Yeshiva University. And that, if I'm putting it together correctly, is a space that both the university use and is open for community events. And CB12, as people who've been on the board for some time might remember, is a place that we from time to time do a general meeting. But that was in need of some serious upgrades to join the modern world in terms of just sort of the structure of the space and AV and all of that good stuff. So that's community project funding. And I guess you can look for an announcement, I think in about a month's time, about who are the finalists in for the next cycle. And then just quickly, 2 other items people might have seen online. The congressman, like so many people who came to community board on this topic as well, was really, really bothered by the amount of trash and needle refuse, etc., kind of along 181st Street, as like sort of over the side of the Washington Bridge, like going into Highbridge Park. And so he requested that Mayor Adams dedicate and help bring some resources together. So his Earth Day cleanup activity was there, and they picked up, I mean, I can't even imagine how much trash and needle refuse, et cetera, et cetera. So that's looking better. The congressman will be in the district towards the end of the month and has a lot planned. So look for us. Hopefully we'll have dates. One thing that I am pretty sure will get confirmed over the next couple of days is a date for a sort of quality of life town hall. As all the electeds, I'm sure, can attest to, we all are hearing from our community every day, just as I imagine Ebenezer is receiving at the district office about concerns that bear on our quality of life. So we hope to bring people together towards, I think, in a date in May. So hopefully I'll come back to you with.
All righty. Thank you. Questions? No questions. Thanks, Debbie. Jamil, I should get your last name, Jamila, from Councilwoman Carmen de la Rosa.
Jamila Sandoval.
Staff person. Jamila?
Sandoval. How you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Sandoval. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'll start with that.
Thank you, Jamila.
I want to start with actually giving a shout out to Ebenezer for the cabinet meeting this month. One of the asks after the 191 street tunnel walkthrough with other agencies was for it to be put into an agenda item into the cabinet meeting and have all the agencies report on what's going on with that. And he's been doing that monthly, and it's been tough to get some agencies on the call. But I appreciate him always bringing it up and fighting for an update, just like we are. So I want to give Ebenezer a shout out to start with that. I wanted to echo the SYP thing. We have the last few Saturdays, we have been partnering with Inwood Community Services and the NAGO, the YMCA on NAGO, the Washington Heights Youth Center, and with Domingo, to have a space for students to sign up and anybody in our community to sign up. We did 3 locations. We did one in the Heights. We did one on NAGO in the Y, and then we did one in Marble Hill. And we were able to sign up some students and some kids of the community and some over 18 for SYP. And our office will be taking interns, so that's very exciting. We had our Easter egg hunt, which was a huge success. If you haven't been able to see it, go on Carmen's Instagram and you'll see the video of all the kids going crazy. We had 1,000 eggs, and even that wasn't enough. So we'll plan for 2,000 next year because it was great to see all the kids be so excited and hunting for all the eggs. We have the Uptown Organizing Committee. It's a committee it's a series of committees that Carmen in our office had developed in order to ensure that we have a co-governance model within our office. Our first meeting will be May 3rd. If anybody's interested in that, please email me. I'll put my email here in the chat box. I think I could see the questions and answers, so I'll put it there. Yeah, it's May 3rd at 6 p.m. It's on Zoom, and it's bringing a lot of people from our community, a lot of our stakeholders to come and meet with us and do research with us on what the community needs, and then go out and do community outreach, which will be happening this summer. And then most importantly, our open house is this Friday, the 29th from 3 to 6. We're very, very excited. We inherited this office from the previous administration, and we have changed a lot. It is very beautiful, very bright. A lot of it's very new. So please come out and meet us in person, since I know we've been doing virtual meetings for quite some time. But come hang out with us from 3 to 6, meet the team, and just see the office and see what services we will be offering. And I think that's about it. Thank you. Any questions?
No questions. So moving along, thank you, Jamila Sandoval, for your report. I'd like to move along to the public speaking session, and I have 4 names. I'd like to call those names, and please, whoever's the host, you, Catherine, or our office, to please promote them so that we can have them all at once and not waste any time. I think the first person on the list is Chris Nickel, Stephen Harrison, Catherine O'Sullivan, Penn Starchevich, Julia Tate, and Sally Fitch is already there. So mention the 5 names: Chris Nichols, Stephen Harrison, Catherine O'Sullivan, Penn Starchevich, and Julia Tate.
Hi there, everybody. Can you all hear me? Long time no see for so many of you. I'm glad to be back with the board. Tonight, I'm talking as a member of the Inwood Canoe Club with a brief update on our programming. So we're getting ready to get up on the water with our neighbors this season. You can find up-to-date information about our public programming at our website, inwoodcanoenyc.org. I'll send that out as well. And so that it can get in the minutes, I'll send it to OC. We kicked off the season earlier than ever this year with 2 on-land events that we hosted for new members to clean up the shoreline. The next event is going to be on April 30th. And so, if you're interested in filling out the membership interest form online and joining us for that event, we'd love to have you. The big attraction for many of you will be our free open house community paddling programs that'll happen every Sunday morning from Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend. And we're expanding those back up again with COVID protocols in mind so that we can safely welcome as many members of our community as possible. We're also going to have a series of free public programs that are led by some paddle sports instructors who are members at the club. And these will be small group instructional classes that are offered 2 or 3 weekends a month. And that information will also be on our website if you want to learn a little bit more about paddling. Let's see, we have the first of our youth programs that are going to take place in May. We have 3 paddling and ecology events planned with City Parks Foundation, Coastal Classroom. And we also want to give a great shout out to Jennifer Hoppe, who's been a real asset for us at the Parks Department, offering some great suggestions about ways that we can partner with other organizations. And if you have any questions about our programming, you want to reach out to the club directly, I want to give you an email address where you can do that. It's inwoodcanoe.openhouse@gmail.com. And the last thing I'll say is that we do have a nonprofit affiliate with the club. It's called Uptown Paddling. And we are still seeking grant funding for a multi-week paddling course for local teens this summer. So if you are involved with a nonprofit that has some funding available or have other grant sources that might be up our alley, please do email us at uptownpaddling@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Stephen?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
So I'll begin. The constituents of Northern Manhattan and the District of Manhattan Community Board 12 have stood by and watched as fashion shows and private events for high price profits have replaced community groups offering free or low-cost services to the residents of Washington Heights at the Fort Washington Armory. Back in 2014, I read an article in DNA Info about these shenanigans going on in my community center and decided to get involved. Since that time, I've seen very little or no progress regarding this issue, which needs more immediate focus and transparency. I spoke as a concerned community resident about this problem in 2019 to help bring awareness and ask why this is happening. 2 years later, a resolution was finally passed on May 25th, 2021. Community Board 12 passed this resolution urging the New York City Council to investigate and hold a public hearing on how the Department of Homeless Services has been mismanaging, improperly using, wrongfully overseeing the city-owned public building space and resource at the New York City Fort Washington Armory, which includes not giving access to community groups in underutilized spaces at the Armory, huge profiteering, as well as demands for local charitable organizations to make mandatory quote unquote donations for space which in the past has been accessible to them. And the Armory Foundation has been found to be in breach of licensing and sub-licensing agreements, which all have to be spoken about and need to be corrected once and for all. The resolution calls for a DHS to be held accountable, as well as to create a Fort Washington Armory Board of Directors. Turning a community space into an exclusive club and venue rental space is wrong. It's the privatization of public space, and the public officials have turned a blind eye. We need safe havens in our community for the youth to go to. Ignoring this problem is even worse, and we can fix this. In a time when young people are in dire need of guidance, direction, education, mental health counseling, the time is now to make things right again and make a change for the community to thrive again. So I'm pleading to all members to make the Armory the community center it was meant to be. Please speak up, take action to help the children, youths, and adults in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Ms. O'Sullivan?
Good evening, everybody. So I'm here this evening to talk about Community Board 12's processes and procedures. And I'm happy to see Mary Anderson, Eleazar Bueno, Maria Luna, Gabriela Estrella, Emily Marte, and the Fire Department Chief Joe Dudley. Oh, and Nobles, there you are. So, my problem is that the Traffic and Transportation Committee published an agenda that had new business, old business, and adjournment listed. There was no mention of any change in traffic pattern that was going to be discussed as part of the Dyckman Plaza change, and not even that there was going to be a resolution generated at that meeting. So I ask you all, is this community engagement? I mean, it's kind of crazy that I can only know 7 people at this meeting. 7. Why isn't the list of attendees published? This is not community engagement. And I can tell you that's why you've got 4 public members speaking, because this is not a community board meeting for the community. So I would advise you, when June 15th comes and Mark Levine, our borough president, says you've got to go to a hybrid version, please do, and engage the community. We need a voice, and you are supposed to be it, and you are not doing your job. So what I ask is that the resolution from the Traffic and Transportation Committee be withdrawn. It needs to be withdrawn. My building is on the intersection of Riverside Drive and Seaman Avenue, and we were not informed that this was going to be discussed. So it needs to be withdrawn or very highly amended so that the DOT comes back to review their work. They said there was a study. They didn't offer any data. Please, we need a voice in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan, for your important words. Next is Penn.
No, Penn's not here. But it's Julia Chait or Chait.
Julia spelled T-A-I-T. Tate.
And they said, doesn't it make sense for Debbie to respond to that? Because those are pretty
There's no responses during public speaking. She has shared during her report of the presentation of the resolution. Next up is Julia Tate. She there with us?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Julia, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Chait, and I'm a youth worker and mental health advocate. I'm here to discuss the importance of mental health awareness, and coincidentally, soon it will be May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm introducing for the second time a mental health awareness workshop series known as the Healthy Mind series. This is a free 3-week series co-hosted by myself and a clinical psychologist on April 28th and on May 5th. I recently spoke on this at the Youth and Ed Committee, but unfortunately, this essential resource was not shared with the community. This series entails educating the community on mental health, emphasizing the importance of mental health awareness, providing tools to cope along with stress busters, offering emotional first aid, and tips for seeking professional help from a counselor. As a volunteer at Growth and Development Services, I've seen firsthand the progress of therapeutic interventions and mental health counseling for youth. There is a dire need for free mental health support and psychoeducational services more than ever before. COVID has only exacerbated the needs, and yet resources are limited. This is why we offer this free platform for our community. I have co-led these workshops before, and the attendees report that they are very supportive and helpful. We believe youth need a healthy and safe environment to thrive, not just to survive. We would love to invite you all to our virtual event on Zoom this Thursday. Information will be on the flyer that Community Board 12 will hopefully share. We have a collaboration with the Dyckman Senior Center, and we are currently continuing our Youth Engaging Seniors program. This is a transformational intergenerational music program in which young people connect with isolated seniors, bonding over the power of music. GDS is also currently looking for a community space for our mental health, youth development, and intergenerational programs. We have started a campaign known as the Home in the Heights. If you're interested in getting involved in our initiatives, email us at gds@excelgds.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next up is Sally Fisher.
I think there's another Julia on the list though that should go before me.
This is Julia Tate.
No, there was just one Julia. There's just two in the attendees.
Okay, I see a Julia Kelly.
No, it's Chait. Oh, there was a
Yeah, there's two Julias, Sally, but there's only one on the public session that's signed up. So it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf of two organizations. So I hope you'll give me an extra minute or so. First, for Friends of Inwood Hill Park, I want to shout out to everyone who made our 7th Earth Day Festival in Inwood Hill Park such a success. Senator Jackson's office, Booney Coffee, the Washington Heights Inwood Food Council, Ring Garden, Fountain House and Hell's Kitchen, Uptown Team Dreamers, New York Roadrunners, Aid USA, Inwood Sprouts, and of course the Northern Manhattan community. We had a great day, cleared a few cubic yards of garbage and recyclables out of the park, had stewardship of one of our restoration sites, had a big sustainability zone where we give away gardens to go and all sorts of books and all sorts of upcycled t-shirts and shopping bags, plugging, flocking, etc. It was a great 2 days. I wanted to alert you to two upcoming events, which I hope will have attendees also from the Inwood Canoe Club. The first event is the 11th annual Riverkeeper Sweep on May 7th. This is a waterfront cleanup at two sites we're sponsoring this year in Northern Inwood Hill Park, which is Muskota Marsh, which we'll be cleaning up from Muskota Marsh and surrounding waterfront from 9 to 12 p.m. and the Dyckman Pier from 11 to 3. At the second site, the Dyckman Pier will also include boat building from upcycled materials. You can register at riverkeeper.org. Just text SWEEP, SWEEP, to 41444 for more information. And then on behalf of the Washington Heights Inwood Food Council, we are kicking off another round of our free Grow From Home project. Plants and supplies are free, but they're limited. So if folks are interested, they need to apply before May 8th. and be available on May 14th and 15th to pick up your supplies at our distribution event outside the Ann Loftus Playground on Broadway and Dyckman. Families with children are very much encouraged to apply. You can get more information and a link to the application on our website, winfoodcouncil.org, and you'll see a link to grow-from-home. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Sally. And I think Steve Simon has an announcement to make as a part of the public session, and then that'll make us move on to the resolution, commuter resolution. Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Eleazar. Speaking on as a co-chair of the Riverside Oval Association, we're going to be resuming our annual birthday party for John James Audubon, probably one of the more famous past residents of our community. It's going to be his 229th birthday this week. And in fact, I think it's today. But we'll be celebrating on Saturday at 3 o'clock, starting at our Riverside Oval Garden at Riverside Drive at 156th Street. We'll stand around for a while, talk, sing songs, enjoy the beautiful blooming flowers, and then go over to, half a block up to the American Academy of Arts and Letters in their auditorium for the beautiful cake and to hear our guest speaker, local historian Matthew Spady, the author of The Neighborhood Manhattan Forgot, Audubon Park, and the Families That Shaped It. So please join us Saturday, starting at 3 o'clock. Masks are required. So if you either bring a mask or we'll give you one when you arrive. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Masks in the auditorium only, Steve.
Bruce Robertson, you're next.
No, to add to Steve, you only need masks when you go into the academy, not in the Oval. Thank you.
Oh, no, okay, I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, I saw you raised hand, so I was hoping that he would.
Yeah, I just asked Chanel to put the event into the chat because I can't post it myself, so we can work that out. But it's what Steve said. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Appreciate that. Now we're going to move on to our commuter resolutions. The traffic and transportation, the one that was just discussed, as far as Stephen Avenue on the double.
By the way, that resolution was not on the agenda.
What was that again?
The resolution.
You just let me.
Wait a second. So I'm good. Let me go through the formality of having your report and both your report and the presentation of the resolution before we move on to licensing. Debbie, floor is yours.
Thank you, Eli. So as people sort of have inferred, we are presenting a resolution regarding the conversion of Seaman Avenue between Dyckman and Riverside Drive to be two-way. Did I just say Seaman between Dyckman and Riverside Drive? So that's that short block, and it's the only block of Seaman that's not two-way, and it was one-way going towards Riverside. This conversion was presented two times. In June 2021, when DOT first came and presented plans for a DOT plaza at Dyckman between Broadway and Seaman. And again in September when they came back with a refined plan, and then we're asking for the resolution. And in both of those presentations, there was this convert this one block to be two-way rather than just one way. It was not on the April agenda. I had thought going into the meeting that we were going to get just an update about the timing of when that was likely to happen, but that it wouldn't be a reso item until May. And what I realized during the meeting, so meaning it was just going to get discussed as an update kind of as old business. It was an update to something that had been presented. But during the meeting, we realized that one, the timing would be a little more comfortable to do the resolution in April rather than May, although we certainly can. But secondly, the DOT, there was nothing more to be presented. Nothing was changing. It would just be the same slide that we saw in June 2021 and September in 2021. A community member spoke at the time about that it is it obviously, or maybe not obvious to some, not good to have a resolution item that wasn't called out on the agenda. And so we discussed it as a committee briefly. And I'll just read from the notes here because it's turned into a bit of an issue, is that, you know, that given that the 2 meetings where it was presented were very well attended because it was a topic with a lot of interest, the Dyckman Plaza, because there were no negative comments at all across those 2 meetings, and in fact, several positive comments in favor, and that there wouldn't be any new content presented if they came a 3rd time to present the same slide, that we made a judgment to just vote on the resolution. And we also sort of remarked, well, we could collect more public comment on the substance of the issue at the general meeting, obviously. And so it passed through our committee unanimously from the committee members. So that's the story there. I will just to friendly amendment myself on the resolution. I will say I see the typo in the word get versus gets in the 3rd whereas. And just if somebody, since I don't think I can self-friendly, that should, the whereas cover the idea that this actually came up from Isidro during one of the early conversations to request that DOT look to see if they can pick up some parking spots, potentially further out on Dyckman, et cetera. They're only eliminating 4 in this conversion, but he felt like they should take a look. We can come up with a few extra spots. That's mentioned in the whereas. It's not mentioned in a resolved. So if people think we should move that also into the resolve to, again, make efforts to add some parking spots back in the vicinity, I'd be happy to do that. So everything else, I would say just check the minutes.
Okay, to raise hands, starting with Ozzy.
Yeah.
Domingo.
Okay. I'm just shocked that a resolution came to be without the public awareness that there would be a resolution about that issue at the meeting. And so I'm just shocked by that. And I think that the right thing to do is to table that resolution right now and to move it for May to allow for public discussion, even though you already vote on that, but just allow for public discussion.
If I could make a parliamentary comment, Asi has just made a motion that, and this is where I want to make the parliamentary comment. She used the word table, and we all know what she meant. What she meant is she wants to send back to the committee,
I'll second
I presume, so the committee can discuss it further. And technically, there's even a fancier name for this resolution. So if there's a second to Asi's motion,
Sally just did.
I second it. Wait a second. Let him go through the process.
Sally seconded it.
Excuse me. Let him go through the process of giving explanations. Not everyone here is as knowledgeable as you guys are. And then we can second, and then we can move forward. Go ahead, finish, Jim.
Right. Well, I was basically finished. So what I believe, and Asi, you can correct me, you're asking, and you know, this is sort of the request that was made, that the resolution go back to committee and it be come back to us, you know, during the process back in May. And then when
That is correct.
Very good. Thank you.
So there is, so technically, Domingo, you can ask now. So there's a motion on the floor to table this resolution. So who is going to second it?
Sally did.
I second it.
All right, so Sally did. So for the record, Sally just seconded. Now,
right. By the way, this is not debatable. We cannot,
We
we
do
just
vote.
vote on.
I know what
Just vote on
follows
it.
next. Wait, I know what follows next. The next is that we vote on it. Okay? We
No
have a
discussion.
secretary, so can you say, Nobles, can you assist us in taking count of the voting process of taking this resolution back to the committee or not?
Curtis?
Can you, please?
Oh, I can certainly help out. Sure, I'll jump in. Curtis, what do you need me to take here?
Do you need me to do the roll call now?
Yeah. Aisha, would you like to make your comment now before we do the voting, or would you wait?
We can't debate.
There is no discussion.
Okay, so then let's move forward.
Okay, Joe Abreu.
No.
Jamina Akbar.
No.
Mario Ali. Mario Ali. I'll come back to you, Richard Allman. Richard Allman. I'll come back to you, Mary Anderson.
No.
Ready at any point.
Okay, Richard Allman.
No.
Glennis Aquino. Absent. Wayne Benjamin.
Yes.
James Berlin.
Yes.
Danielle Bonilla.
Door
Absent. Tanya Bonner. Tanya Bonner? Okay, I'll come back to you. Do you want to vote last? I can come back to you. Daryl Cochran.
I just muted him.
Nobles Crawford.
Yes, please.
Robin Cruz.
No.
No. Waldis Cruz. Waldis Cruz.
Not here.
Catherine Diaz.
Yes.
Domingo Estevez. Domingo Estevez. Okay, I'll come back to you. Gabrielle Estrella.
Yes.
Yes. Ashley Fernandez, absent. Sarah Fisher.
Yes.
Faye Florimon.
Yes.
Barbara Fraser.
Yes.
Samari Hernandez.
No.
Miriam James.
Yes.
Danielle Jetu, not here. Leo Jimenez. Leo. Joseph Kalinski. Elsie Kamener.
Yes.
Michelle Lee.
Yes.
Francisco Lopez. I'll come
What
back
are we
to-
voting for again? I'm sorry.
We're voting to table, refer back to committee for the Transportation Resolution A.
Yes.
Elizabeth Ritter, absent, I believe. Maria Luna.
Yes.
Emily Marte.
Yes.
Cindy Matos. Okay, Jay Mazer.
No.
Cedro Medina.
No.
Excuse me?
No.
No, okay. Debbie Navalian.
No.
Jonathan Nunez Fermenta.
No.
Aisha Ogilvy.
Yes.
Wendy Pena.
Not here.
Absent. Paradise Phoenix, absent also. Bruce Robertson.
No.
Genesis Salas.
No, not here.
Eda Santiago, absent still. Steve Simon. Steve Simon. Okay, I'll come back to you. Angel Vasquez.
Curtis, I'm here.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, but are you actually Curtis Young?
Yes, I am.
Are you back?
Oh my gosh. Well,
You never left.
could you answer the vote question, please, sir?
Okay, I don't know how to speak. I'm speechless. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Angel
Not here.
and Curtis Young. That is a yes. So I believe
Hey, Curtis, my apologies. I'm back. Domingo here.
okay, Domingo is that your vote, sir?
Yeah, so this is basically if we send it back to committee, so DOT, the community can speak to DOT just for clarity.
It'll go back to committee.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start back over at the top of the list. Mario Ali,
Not here.
not here still. Okay.
Left.
Absent. All right.
She was here
good.
earlier.
Yeah, she was here earlier. Tanya Bonner was here earlier. Are you back here, Tanya Bonner? I'm not looking at the participant list.
Let me make, if you don't mind, let me make another parliamentary comment, because remember, the way we tally votes now is different. What Curtis is doing, which is absolutely correct, is he has to determine in this roll call whether people are here or not. Because if we believe they are here and they don't answer about the vote, they're basically not voting in favor, but they count in the quorum. So basically, he's sort of taking a second attendance, and that's necessary for the current version of the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya Bonner, are you here at the time of vote?
She's here at the time of vote.
She's here, but she's not speaking.
Not speaking, yeah.
Okay, so
Also, Daryl Cochrane is asking if we heard his vote. I don't think we did.
we do not. I'm almost back
He's in
Daryl.
motion.
Okay, I'm getting
Daryl,
him.
can you still? Sorry, he's texting me.
I'm sorry. So Eleazar is next.
Did you call Samari Hernandez?
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mr. Chair. Daryl Cochran?
Yeah, I vote no. Can you not hear me?
No, I did not hear you. Okay, Waldis Cruz is absent still. Ashley Fernandez is absent still. Daniel Jatu absent still. Leo's absent still. Joseph Calinti is still absent. Elizabeth Ritter is still absent. Cindy Matos is still absent. Wendy Pena is still absent. Paradise Phoenix is still absent. Genesis absent. Ed is absent. Angel is absent. So it looks like I will do the tally and come back to you all.
Hernandez.
Yes. Thank you, guys. I actually want to revert my vote to a yes to send back to committee. I thought we were voting.
Curtis, I vote no. I don't know if you hear me now.
I hear you, yes. All right, so the last two people we have that are outstanding is Tanya Bonner and Eleazar vote right now. Eleazar?
Yeah, my vote is no.
No, okay. Tanya Bonner, are you here now? Hearing none, we are closing the vote, and I will tally and get back to you all. You can continue, and I'll give you a tally a little bit later.
Well, we can't really continue until you tally the vote, unless we want to go to another committee.
Can we move to another committee?
I think we can move to other resolutions.
Right, and then come back to this. Yes.
And then we'll come back to this. So Isidro, floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Chair. Not much to report from licensing, because we only had 10 resolutions to address, 3 of which were withdrawn either prior to or at the meeting. Those resolutions are number 6, 8, and 9. So we're not voting on those resolutions. Then 3 were rejected, either because the operators failed to show up, or there were concerns either by the prison and or members of the committees and or some residents. And that's why resolution number 3, 4, and 10 were rejected by the committee because of some issues that you will see in the minutes and or on the resolutions. So nothing major to report beyond that. No controversies, no issues, but I would open up the floor for questions.
Questions, Steve? You don't even have to raise your hands. I'm going to call you anyways.
Oh, well, thank you. Am I reading the minutes correctly for number 7, that there appears to be some kind of a checkered history with the way in which the establishment was being operated, and there was some period of time, maybe a year and a half or so, that it was serving alcohol without having a license?
That was some report that the prison thought that the premise was serving alcohol without a license. The operator, however, indicated that they were not. And that's an establishment that has been in place for a while. I asked like 2 or 3 questions about whether or not they served alcohol. They said that they did not. I asked whether they stored the alcohol where, And they said that, the alcohol was not visible. And at that point, the committee decided to vote on the matter.
I don't know, the minutes are somewhat confusing because it does seem as though he's saying that he was operating with an expired license.
The operator indicated that he was not, that didn't have a license and he was not selling alcohol.
Okay, great.
Any other questions besides Steve's? Apparently no.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So
Great.
for the
You have
resolution,
tally?
yes, I do. For the resolution A, to send the transportation resolution back to committee, we have 19 yeses, 12 noes, and 16 absent members. So
Resolution goes back to committee. Okay, so we don't have to vote on resolution A at the time of voting. So please, guys, keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to vote on licensing resolutions.
all right, okay, cool. Joe Abreu.
All right, tally, and let's move along.
Joe Abreu, so absent. Dramina Alcabar.
Oh wait, no, I'm not absent.
Okay, well, you were absent at the time of our last vote, so you
No,
missed that.
I voted no.
You voted no. I'm sorry. You voted no. I'm sorry. I have you highlighted because you were absent when the meeting started, but I'll change that to present. Okay, sir. Sorry about that. Joel.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Jamirna. Jamirna.
No present.
Okay. Mario Ali.
Not present.
Oh, not present. Okay, got it. Richard Allman. Richard Allman.
Yes. All. And.
Okay. Mary Anderson.
Yes to all.
Wayne Benjamin.
Yes to all.
James Berlin.
I vote no on number 5 and yes to everything else.
Okay. Tanya Bonner, absent still. Daryl Cochran. Daryl Cochran.
Still present.
Okay. Nobles Crawford. What's going on with folks tonight? Nobles Crawford.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, licensing committee, for all your work. Yes to all.
Yes to all.
Orange.
Robin Cruz.
Yes to all.
Okay. Catherine Diaz.
Yes to all.
Domingo Estevez.
Yes to all.
Gabrielle Estrella.
Yes to all.
Sally Fisher.
No to 1, 2, 5, 7, 10. Yes to the rest.
There is no rest.
Okay. Faith Florimon.
You can vote to the withdrawals. So sorry.
Yeah, but 3, 4, and one other one was a yes.
Okay, got it. Faith Florimon.
Yes to all. Thank you, Karen.
Okay. Barbara Frazier.
Yes to all.
Samari Hernandez.
Yes to all.
Miriam James.
Yes to all.
Okay. O.C. Cabinet.
No to 7, yes to the rest.
Michelle Lee.
No to 4, yes to the rest.
Francisco Lopez.
Yes to all.
Maria Luna.
Please come back to me.
Will do. Emily Marte.
No to 7, yes to the rest.
Okay. Jay Mazer.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Isidro Medina.
Yes to all.
Debbie Navabian.
Yes to all.
Jonathan Nunez Fermetta.
Yes to all.
Aisha Ogilvy.
Yes to all.
Wendy Bruce Robertson.
Yes to all.
Steve Simon.
Abstain on 7, yes to the rest.
Okay, Curtis Young, yes to all. And that concludes our vote for the evening, folks. Thank you.
Curtis,
Maria Luna.
sorry,
Maria.
I wasn't able to speak, but yes to all, please.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Maria Luna.
Okay, I'm voting no, 1, 2, 5, and 7.
Okay.
Thank you.
And yes to the rest, I assume.
All right.
Okay.
This is Daryl. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, Daryl, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Abstain on 7, yes to the rest.
And I have a change, Curtis. Sorry.
One second. I'm saying on 7, yes to the rest for Daryl, and Sally has a change. Okay, what's your change?
My change, number 10, is a yes, not a no.
Okay, got it. Perfect. So let me just go back to the list one more time. Mario Ali still not present. Tanya Bonner still not present. Eleazar Bueno, you're last, sir.
Yeah, yes to all.
Yes to all. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. So moving forward to our committee reports. Those of you committee chairs who prefer or rather have us go through your minutes, please raise your hand so that I can just go to the specific chairs who want to feel like they have a report to give to. Bruce, you have a question before I move on.
I'm raising my hand on behalf of Daryl, who's in transit from the airport, and Marielle, who's overseas. So I'm the default chair for now.
All righty. All right. So just go into minutes, and then Nobles, on behalf of Parks, go into the minutes, right? So the rest of them is Francisco. You going next? Francisco once, Francisco twice, Francisco.
Yes, I'm here. As far as the our meeting, refer to the minutes. Just wanted to give a quick update as far as the budget. Nobles, you were speaking on the budget and how it's going to affect cannabis. We are working on something in May to speak on that with the state. So we'll have that information and send it out to everyone. Also, we've been trying to reach DOT about the open restaurants program and try to get them to our meeting in May. Samadi and I are working diligently to, see if we can get somebody from DOT to present at our next meeting. Anything else, again, refer to the minutes. Thank you.
Is it Bruce next?
Hello? Francisco?
Yeah, I'm here. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we heard you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
okay. Got it. All right. Okay, so I guess my computer froze, so I didn't get to hear the last part. So thanks. The next one up, Mary Anderson.
Please refer to the minutes on the part of the meeting, our last meeting, on the presentation by Carol Bain about benefits enrollment for seniors. And just one thing of note, the Social Security office that's located on 207 and Broadway has reopened for in-person interviews, but you have to have an appointment. They don't want walk-ins. They don't want a bunch of people, all of a sudden showing up at the office. So you must have an appointment to be there. The exciting thing that's in the works for our committee is a panel discussion in June on aging, on issues for the aging LGBTQ community. And Richard Ullman is working diligently on that. And we will hopefully have that. That presentation is going to happen at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on June 5th. And the reason for having a 1 o'clock presentation is that so we can have the clients at the senior centers tuned in, zoomed into that meeting because they are a captive audience during the lunch hours. So the senior center directors suggested that that time would be a good time for it. So rather than our 10:30 a.m. usual meeting, it'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so that is about it. And we're hoping that others also will, other board members will join that meeting, that presentation. That's guaranteed to be a lively discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Much love. Next, Faye.
I'm sorry, I had something about next month and I forgot. Can I take?
Take a quick second. Yeah.
3 more seconds. At our meeting from May 5th at 10:30, we're going to have a presentation from Faye Florman about an international guitar show, youth performing for seniors. So that will, be interesting also. And we're also going to begin to talk about the FY 2023 budget. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mary. Faye? Faye? Once, Faye twice, Faye 3. I'll get back to you. Steve Simon on the second report.
I want to give my usual update on the COVID-19 statistics for our community. As you've heard, the positivity rates have been climbing compared to a month ago, the last time we had our general board meeting. The positivity rates in all 4 of our zip codes have gone up pretty significantly. In one case, in zip code 40, they've gone up by a multiple of 7 to, it may not sound very high, it's at 3.05%, but a month ago it was at 0.44%. In zip code 34, 5.66%, zip code 33, 5.18, and zip code 32, 4.3. There have been 127 new cases as of during last week, and since we last met, over 1,000 new cases in our 4 zip codes, and 2 additional deaths. So we have now, since the beginning of the pandemic, had over 48,000 cases and 921 deaths. The vaccine rates, as I alluded to earlier, are running between 77 to 81% for a first dose, and 69 to 73% for people fully vaccinated. And this is significantly below the rest of the city and the rest of Manhattan. The city has arranged for vans to be located in 4 places in Inwood this week, at 175 Nagel, at the Inwood Hill Tennis Courts on Seaman Avenue and Isham, at Monsignor Kett Playground, and at the Payson Playground, 8 in the morning to either 6 or 7 in the evening. There'll be vans there from the city, from health and hospitals. So these are reliable vans that you should get your results back for the PCR test as well as for the rapid test. Rapid test you should get right away. And they'll be there up until Sunday and maybe beyond that. In Washington Heights, there are 3 sites at Bennett Park, J. Hood Wright Park, and the Cascaya Playground at Amsterdam Avenue and 180th Street. And as I mentioned before, free test kits are being distributed at the Washington Heights Library, St. Nicholas Avenue and 160th Street, Monday to Friday from 12 to 4. And we have separately arranged to have a local doctor, Dr. Karen Thornton, also has a mobile vaccine and testing van outside Good Shepherd Church, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 4, and on Mondays outside the Holy Rood Church at 179th and 4th Washington Avenue. That is my report.
Maria has a question for you.
Yeah, just to update Steve, the day credential and his Dreamers are also giving out the vaccine at the Chavez Center on 166, what is it? Broadway and 166, right? From 11:30 in the morning to 5 p.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, April 27th. So anybody that would like to, I'm sorry, Mary, you pointing out your fingers? Okay, April 27th, which is Wednesday, tomorrow, from 11:30 to 5 p.m. at the Chavez Center, 165th and Broadway. Everyone is welcome.
All right, well, that would be the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Center.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you both of you, Steve.
Hey, Steve, I had a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Daryl. The new cases, is that those who got a result from like urgent care or hospital, but it doesn't count those who do the home tests, correct? Which a lot more people have access to.
Yeah, I think as Mark Levine discussed earlier, these numbers do not include the results of home tests. Only tests at other places, which are then obligated to report the results to the health department.
But I'm going to tell you, you know what? I'm not at the truth. Okay, but
Can you mute it, Barbara?
And you know
I hear a lot of noise in the background. Oh, Mary Anderson.
Sorry.
I just wanted to address the van that's by J. Hood Wright Park. Is parked by Haven Avenue on 173rd and Haven. And that's not a high traffic area right down there. There used to be a van on Fort Washington outside of J. Hood Wright Park. Right near the bus stop, actually, and it seemed to be more traffic there. They had more people, getting tested in that area. All right, thank you. A lot more traffic there with the train and everything.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, but thank you. I don't know why they're on Haven Avenue.
It's for, right at the end of 173rd by Haven is where they're parked.
All right. Well, let me try to get them to move it over to Fort Wash.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Domingo Esteves, Public Safety.
We had a public safety forum on the 13th. We had over 100 members in our community participate. It was tough because at one point there's so many people with their hands up, but I feel that for the first time we had 3 of the most notable city agencies participate in the forum, which is the DA's office and both precinct commanders of, well, not agencies, but 2 agencies. You had the 2 precinct commanders for the 3-3 and the 3-4 alongside the DA. And we engaged in a pretty good conversation where the community was able to ask a lot of questions, as well as board members. And just keeping the conversation going around public safety and how we could coexist as a community and be able to identify strategies to be able not only to deter crime, but to be able to implement processes of healing into our community. Besides that, that's all I got to report for this month.
I think Richard Ullman would like to make a comment or question, or you accidentally raised your hand.
No, am I muted? No, it was intentional. I just wanted to add a comment to what Mary and Steve said on the previous report. I think the problem with the van has to do with the vans coming in the morning and taking whatever parking spaces are available. That appears to be what's happening around Bennett Park. So I would think if you're trying to get this problem fixed, you might want to involve NYPD in the problem.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Jermina Alcover.
Hey, everybody. I'm a part of the Public Safety Committee, and I just wanted to pretty much invite anyone who would be interested in attending. On Friday, there's going to be a NYC Speaks conversation about public safety. So if anyone is interested in attending, it will take place on Friday at 6 o'clock at Word Up Bookstore, which is located on the corner of 165th Street and Amsterdam. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
All right, send the flyers to the office so that we can help you distribute it. Thank you. Wayne Benjamin.
Thank you, Eli. I would refer everyone to the minutes, except the minutes for the April committee are still outstanding, so we're going to have to distribute them next month. We had a couple of discussions with the Borough President's Office and representatives from the Department of City Planning. You may recall that I reported a meeting or two ago that the Borough President's Office had advised they were no longer going to have planning staff dedicated to the various community boards. That's a temporary situation. They are in the process of hiring, and they will reestablish having, a planner for the Borough President's Office that will be working with CB12. Earlier in this meeting, there was actually discussion of the developments by the home that was built by abolitionists and also those brownstones. The issue is in the area from 155th Street to 177th west of Broadway is zoned R8. The rest of Washington Heights and Inwood, for the most part, is zoned R7-2. The difference between those two is R8, you can build almost twice as much building. And so there are areas where there are what we call soft sites that are ripe for development, and the community board has been asking city planning for at least a dozen years to rezone the R8 so that any new development would have to be in scale with the existing. They have not done it yet, but based on the resolution we passed in January, they have come back and asked us what we would like to see. So at next month's meeting, the Land Use Committee is going to talk in more detail of some of the proposed contextual zoning districts that can be used in lieu of the current R8 zoning. We also had a discussion with Department of City Planning representative concerning the Fresh 2 program. You'll recall that the 4650 Broadway application that the community board and the elected officials were opposed to. The chair of city planning passed it anyway. And the problem is the way the program is currently structured. If an application meets certain program criteria, there's very little latitude for the chair not to approve it. And so one of the things that we are suggesting they add is an analysis or a needs test to look at the number of existing supermarkets within a half-mile radius of a proposed site that provide fresh fruit and vegetables. Currently under the program, they look at only supermarkets that are built under the program that are within a half-mile radius. If there are other supermarkets that were not built under the program, they are not counted. So we're suggesting that they modify that so that they're looking at any supermarket, whether it is built under that program or not, to determine if there is a need for another supermarket so that the program isn't used just to provide a zoning bonus to the new development. And so we're going to continue to follow up with city planning on that as well. As I said, the minutes were not available for us to review, so you don't have them. We hope to have them to you, or we will have them to you next month.
And sorry, Wayne, it's Marielle again. I know I keep coming off the camera.
Actually, I see Maria's hand first.
Yeah, Maria, okay.
It's just, it's a brief announcement that I need to say.
I want to leave that to new business.
Thank you.
Okay, so Maria.
Usually I only do board members' questions.
No, it's not a question. I just wanted to make sure again. I know Wayne had mentioned, and I'm sorry, I'm not here every single month. But I know that you had mentioned the staff for land use. So we do have staff for land use. We do have people that can target questions. We have a person that is in charge of the department, that's at Chaparro. But I know that there is a transition in staff. So we're not fully staffed, but there are people there. So I just want to make sure that that's not misunderstood to me, that there is no land use staff that is available for questions and concerns. That's all it was.
No, we're advised that there is in fact staff that we can reach out to, and that the office is in the course of hiring more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marielle, for the clarification.
Sorry.
I forget, I always think of you controller, but I gotta switch. I really do have to switch to where you are.
That's my report. So if Maria's comment is on something else, then my report is done.
So we're gonna close out with Maria's comment or announcement, which I'll have to charge you for that. And then I'll make a little bit of an important comment.
Thank you. I think this is really going to be a really nice announcement. We all know what the auxiliary police does for our community. They are the right hands of the police officers in all our communities. When we have events in the street, parades, you see the auxiliary police marching hand in hand with the police officers. So it is my pleasure to say that Dagoberto Dago Suarez, who had been the head of the auxiliary police in our Upper Manhattan area, was today promoted to be the first Latino New York auxiliary deputy chief. After 30 years, he deserved that promotion. I am so happy, since I know him since he was a very young person that was born in our community, to reach to be the first Latino, Cuban, and Dominican, and everything else, to be the deputy chief of the auxiliary in New York City. So congratulations, Dago.
And a former member of CB12.
All right.
Congratulations, Maria. Thank you for the announcement. Before we leave, I'd like to, especially to our newer members, the process that you guys just were part of with having a resolution that most members, according to the voting tally, felt that it had to be sent back to committee so that it could have more community participation, is what makes this institution, this board, a transparent, a well-to-do and a well-meant-to-do institution that every time that we go through these kind of processes, it makes us a lot stronger than that. When we were in the process of passing, when this resolution was announced, we received a series of letters that were a little bothersome because they were challenging the resolution itself, and they were asking for the resolution to be sent back to committee without going through this process, to which we said no, that we needed to go through the process of having each one of you's opinions and each one of you input in order for the resolution to be either approved or not, or sent back to committee. So I just wanted to point that out, that no matter what happens, we are going to make this process stronger than what we inherited, and it was very strong to begin with. And having said that, I'd like to have someone from the floor call this meeting for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Have a great night, Barnes.
You too. Take it easy, Chair. Thanks, folks.
Night all.
Good night.
I want to know who the guy was pretending to be Curtis Young.
Marielle, send me your email.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Marielle, send me your email, please.
Oh, I heard you.
Okay. Want to make sure.
All right. Sorry.
Bye.